Hello and welcome to Greater Dayton Live. I'm your host today, Ken Kreitzer, and joining us in the studio is the chairman of the board of the Vector and Dayton Air Show, Scott Buchanan. Scott, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ken.
It's almost that time of year. It's almost time for the Vector and Dayton Air Show.
It is, and it happens before we know it. We'll
Absolutely.
be here in just a few months.
So June 22nd and 23rd this year. Tell us, what do you have in store for us this year?
The Air Force Thunderbirds will be back, and we're excited to have them back and their aerodynamic show. Jackie Stewart, Skip Stewart will be here. We have another F-18 and Corsair flyby with aircraft from two different eras in the mix. Sean Tucker will be back and has a partner with him that he's flying with, so he's not flying solo anymore since last year, which is very exciting. Skip Stewart will be here. Jackie B. Air shows, so a little bit for everybody.
So I know we were talking beforehand, we have some new stuff coming in this year, but one of the great features is we have two female pilots.
We do have two female pilots. We have Jackie B. Air shows, and Sean Tucker's pilot that he's flying with is a female. She's been flying since she was 18 years old, which is really exciting.
That is very exciting. That is very exciting. So, as the board chair, are you enjoying your time as board chair?
Having a blast.
Great.
It's nothing better than giving back to the community, and it's very rewarding seeing all the smiling faces on Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely. So, tell us about your board. You know, what is this board for the Vector and Dayton Air Show?
The board was responsible, if you go back to Don Kenlin, he kind of pulled it together from the Visitors Bureau, I guess, over 30 years ago. Yeah. A lot of those members are still on the board. There are a few new ones, myself and a representative from both hospital systems. And that we're responsible for making sure that the team that we hire the management team to run the show, and we're responsible for making sure we have a safe and high quality air show. And I'm happy to report that we were in the top 5 last year for air shows around the country from USA Today's poll. So
that's amazing.
Good stuff.
That's amazing. So now this is a nonprofit group that's just put together, and you guys just work on this show.
And a lot of folks don't really understand that there's an event on Friday that is very much philanthropic. We work with Special Wish here in Dayton, as well as NAHA, to bring kids in to watch practice and have lunch and learn about aircraft and flight, and that's been going on for years. It's called the SOAR program. So that's been going on for years and started back when Don really brought this thing together.
So it's like their own private air show.
It really is.
On Friday.
And a lot of the acts come down and see the children afterwards, so it's very rewarding.
It's amazing. So talk to us about your personal goals as chairman of the board. What are your goals for the show now and as we move into the future?
Sustainability, maybe just making sure we continue to have a high quality air show. We're very fortunate to have the infrastructure that we do, the sponsorships and the support from the City of Vandalia, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and the City of Dayton, Terry Slabaugh and his team at the airport. So really just the continuity of that group of people working together into the future and continue to bring a high quality show. I started going when I was around 12 years old, I think. So I can remember the show's almost as old as I am, and being 45 years old. So
I remember, I'm like you, I remember going as a kid, and we all have our favorites. So what's your personal favorite?
My favorite probably of all time is the F-22 Raptor, and just watching the technology. It's unreal kind of where we are, and if you think about it, that's what they're showing us. So what do they have behind the curtain we haven't seen yet?
That's absolutely. So now I know that being the board chair, there's a lot of work that goes into to being the board chair, not just on show week, but always leading up to that.
Actually, it's not been too bad. I've tried to dive in a little bit and be there from Wednesday when aircraft starts to come in through Monday when we wrap up, just to really understand the inner workings. But we actually hire a management team that's been doing it for 40 years. We're very fortunate to have Terry Grevious. He was just awarded and entered into the Hall of Fame for air shows by ICAST this year. So he's been doing it over 40 years, and we've been very fortunate to have him for like the last 15 running our show.
And ICAST is the organization of air shows.
Kind of like the governing body, International Conference of Air Shows, and folks come in from all over the world to Las Vegas every year. And a lot of the planning happens then. Our show ends up being planned usually about a year ahead of time, but it's amazing to see all the jet teams and military and private acts from all over the world in one place.
So I know for you, this is not just you involved in the air show. This has become a family affair.
It has. I have 2 sons and my wife involved. My youngest son's been involved probably as long as I have, and running around putting signs up and volunteering his time on the property during the show. So it's been great. They've enjoyed it, and I think eventually you pass the torch, right? Eventually
Absolutely.
they probably pick up and run with a piece of this.
That's perfect. So now, as we look at this show, I mean, it's a huge show. Obviously, what does this show mean to the Dayton community? It's not just a 2-day affair, but what does the Dayton Air Show bring to our community?
There's a huge economic impact, and it actually increased between 17 and 18 by about $400,000. It went from 3.3 to 3.7 million dollars, and that's based on estimated spend. So it's has a huge economic impact for a 2-day event,
Absolutely.
as well as just the being able to host this type of show, bringing the military and being able to see up close and personal our military's capabilities, as well as paying tribute to the past and seeing some of the older aircraft from World War II. So we try to mix that up a little bit every year so that there's something for everybody.
And I know this economic impact, it's not just the hotels and the restaurants in the area. This impact goes down to several volunteer groups.
Absolutely. There are volunteer groups that come in and sell programs, work the grounds, work parking, and all of them earn a piece of the pie, if you will, to go back to their charitable organization. So it really is a not-for-profit helping other not-for-profits and presenting an event that's now in its 45th year that we can be very proud of.
It's amazing. So let's talk some more about those volunteers. I know that they're the lifeblood of any organization, and your volunteers kind of go across the board from parking to
catering to setup to tear down to work on the ramps to planning the show, media as yourself and others. So it's really and it's amazing. I think there's over almost 2,000 volunteers when you pull everybody together that make this thing go. So without the volunteers, it wouldn't happen.
And the volunteers range in age from they're all across the spectrum.
From teenagers parking cars with their parents to older adults.
Older adults
like us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So and some of those volunteers come from around the country.
They do. They fly in from all over. It's
just
amazing.
for the air show.
Fly in all over. There's airline pilots and all walks of life that come in and make this thing happen, and it's an amazing feat to sit and watch. And we're actually talking about putting a camera up, time-lapsed, to really allow people to understand from Thursday, when it's kind of a bare tarmac and the chalets are just starting to show up, to a full-blown air show in 2 days. It's pretty amazing. And it gives you a comfort and a feel for all those volunteers running around.
So let's talk some more about the show. You said you start planning the show maybe a year in advance?
Almost a year in advance, the show starts to be planned. We know next year we have the Blue Angels already. So that's.
So you've heard it here first. We're looking forward to that. And I know the Vectren Dayton Air Show is a big show in the air show community, obviously with the birthplace of aviation. How do you select teams to come to Dayton?
From a jet team standpoint, that's a military decision we put in for having them to our show. We've been very fortunate every other year to have either the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds. A lot of the military displays and military flybys or demonstrations are requests that you put in with the military. These civilian acts are selected and hired or based on what kind of show you're putting together.
So how do you determine how soon to bring back an act? I mean, as you're looking at a Sean Tucker or...
We really rely on our management team to pull that together, but if I'm stepping back watching, he's very good, and his team is very good at mixing it up. Like this year we have a jet truck. So every other year or so we'll have one of the jet trucks. Always try to have a couple of the stunt pilots like Sean Tucker and Jackie B, Skip Stewart. So we're very fortunate this year to have 3. So just mix it up a little. We want jets involved and some noise and some flybys to pay homage to the past. The traditional flyovers of the Right B Flyer being from Dayton is always a nice add. We haven't had it for a couple of years, so it's back this year. So it makes a nice touch knowing that aviation started here, and yes, North Carolina, it started here.
That's right.
But
we are the birthplace.
We are the birthplace.
That's right.
So to go from the Right B Flyer at the beginning of the show to the jet team at the end of the show is kind of a neat tribute to the area.
And I know there's so much more to the Vectren Dayton Air Show than just the acts that are flying. Let's talk about the ground displays. How do you go about putting together such an amazing ground show?
There is a team behind the scenes on the management team that focuses on just that and trying to mix that up. And we usually average 50 or so aircraft. Last year, we were very fortunate to have 2 specialty aircraft on the ground. One was a mission support called Samaritan's Purse that flew around the world and delivered all kinds of support to those in need. And we had Orbis, which was a flying eye hospital. So we are very fortunate that we can draw, because of the size of the show and the amenities, we're able to draw that kind of a ground display, as well as older World War II, some World War I, every once in a while, helicopters. We end up with a little bit of everything from all branches of the military as well.
So what makes the Vectren Dayton Air Show different than other air shows?
We're very fortunate to have a lot of infrastructure. We've made quite an investment the last couple of years in that infrastructure, having air-conditioned chalets, the Chairman's Club, a higher-end viewing area right along the front of the show center, as we call it. The pavilion seating, and just seating a little bit everywhere. There's not a bad view in the house, and to be able to put 30 to 32,000 people in there a day and make it comfortable when you have hot weather in the summertime, is quite a feat. But what really makes us different is the hospitality shown to those on the ground. There's a hospitality event every night for all the acts and their teams. There's hospitality for the patrons. We have bands and things playing early before the show, and really try to make sure there's something for everyone. There's places for the children to play if they're disinterested for a little bit, which we can be when it's a hot day and we're sitting out in the sun. But it really is a little bit for everybody.
So Scott, you've sold me on the air show this year, June 22nd and 23rd. And there really is a show before and after the show with that ground display.
There really is. There's good advice is to get out there early if you want to try to catch it all in a day. The show usually kicks off around noon and goes until between 4 and 4:30 normally, depending on how many acts we have. But there's tons to do. You're not going to run out of things to see or do or learn while you're there.
And I know tickets are on sale now at DaytonAirShow.com. And you can get $3 off if you purchase tickets from Kroger.
Right, go to your local Kroger's, and starting, I think it's May 13th, those go on sale at Kroger's. It's 11th or 13th, I'm pretty sure it's the 13th. And you go to your local Kroger and save $3 off. There's a family 4-pack that includes drinks and some food and some other amenities. It's a nice, option for folks taking the family of 4 or so.
Sure, I was looking at that, and you could save nearly 50% by looking at that family 4-pack.
Absolutely.
But let's talk some more about some of those other seating areas. I'm really excited by the pavilion seating. Talk to us about what's the pavilion all about.
The pavilion allows a table, an umbrella, a place to kind of hang out for the day. You can leave your things and move around the grounds and come back and watch the acts as they take off. It's kind of show center, so it's really good seating in the middle of the show. Gives you really good viewing and an opportunity to take pictures or video or whatever else you want to do.
And sometimes that umbrella is just worth it, right?
Yeah, it is worth it.
We also have you have the Blue Sky Chalet and the Chairman's Club. Talk about those areas.
Blue Sky Chalet allows the public to buy chalet tickets and have meal and drink and things included, and have an air-conditioned chalet should you want to go inside for a little bit and cool off and enjoy a meal and maybe enjoy those you're with while you're enjoying the show.
Yes.
The Blue Sky Chalet, or the Chairman's Club, is outside next to the pavilion. A little higher end seating. The seating's a little bit different, a little closer view to show center. So maybe a scale up from the pavilion seating, but all nice options for everyone. There's really an option from general admission all the way up to a chalet.
So, and you can find out more information on that by checking out Vectren Dayton or the DaytonAirShow.com.
Yes, sir.
And get all the ticket information there. Let's talk about, sometimes in the days leading up to the show, weather can be unpredictable.
It very much can.
And say it rains a couple days before the show. What's that mean for parking?
It means we always keep an eye every day, literally. We've had some years where it's not been so nice. Even last year, we had a great show, one of the best ones attendance-wise, and almost record-setting attendance. And it rained all day Thursday, so it makes it tough for the aircraft to get in. But we're constantly checking those grass areas to make sure they're suitable for parking. And if they're not, we have a plan B. and all that Plan B is on concrete, and we can pull the trigger on that very quickly. There's a lot of logistics that go into it, and again, that's the management team really having working with the cities to pull that off. But we do have a Plan B should we have rain and any kind of weather.
But you're ready for it.
We're ready for it,
That's
absolutely.
the thing.
You have to be.
Yeah, absolutely, I would assume so. Talk to us about some of the sponsorships, some of the partners involved in bringing the air show to Dayton.
Well, we're very fortunate to have Vectren, Kroger, GE, UTC Aerospace, to name a few, Premier Health, Kettering. Synchrony Financial's new this year. We have a lot of sponsorships that allow us to bring the quality of the show that we bring to the area. That's another difference between us and some of the shows around the country, is that the whole community coming together, putting those dollars into the quality show that we are able to produce.
It's really kind of a list of who's of,
It really
of the
is.
companies in the area. It's great to see them supporting such a great event. I'm a huge air show fan. I have been since a kid. I've been going since a kid. Talk to us about some of the things that someone who's coming maybe for the first time, some of the things, some tips to getting the most enjoyment out of the show.
Pack, and probably some sunscreen would be good.
Some
for
sunscreen
the
would probably be good, yes.
If you're going to be out and want a place to sit, bring a chair, a blanket, something to sit on if you'd like. Get there early, take advantage of the gates opening early, and see as much as you can on the ground. Every year we usually have helicopter rides and other things to do that'll be there prior to the show starting as well as after the show. So there's plenty of time if you don't want to rush and jump into traffic on the way out. You can take a helicopter ride or go see those ground displays. Really the biggest thing I'd say is get there early and just plan for the whole day.
Wear comfortable shoes.
Wear comfortable shoes, clothes.
Make sure you're loose-fitting clothes.
Absolutely.
Be prepared for the heat. Stay hydrated. Now, there's so many facets to the air show. I mean, if we're at the air show and we need medical assistance, you have a plan for that as
Absolutely. The two hospital systems come together, and there's a whole team. Two of the physicians on the ground have been doing it for over 20 years, so we are very, very much prepared for anything that's thrown our way. And last year, happy to report, we had very few incidents, very few heat-related incidents,
Awesome.
and I think only one person was transported out, which is a really, really good result for that many people in one place, and a little heat and a little sunshine. So
Absolutely. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. We're really looking forward to the 2019 Vectren Dayton Air Show, June 22nd and 23rd. Tickets are available at Kroger, the U.S. Air Force Museum, and online at DaytonAirShow.com. We encourage you to follow the Vectren Dayton Air Show on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. Look for Vectren Dayton Air Show, and on Twitter, look for @Dayton Air Show. So we hope to see you all at the 2019 Vectren Dayton Air Show, June 22nd and 23rd at Dayton International Airport. Scott, thanks so much for
Thank you for having us
today. And let's go. Let's
looking
get ready.
forward to seeing everybody.
Absolutely.
Let's get out there and have a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time here on Greater Dayton Live. I wasn't quite